You know, I'm starting to think that I might be, a pretty hardcore 4Kids apologist. Here's the thing. I am not somebody who will sit here and look at all of the censorship and all of the watering down of 4Kids and just declare them absolutely garbage and just walk away, right? Because I think there's more nuance than that. I always have. In fact, that was kind of the whole point of this whole thing, of this whole project. Now you might be like, okay, well, why are you bringing that up right now, Blue Wolf? Because this entire 5 episodes, I should turn off my console, give it a rest, and turn off my TV. Because I gave all 5 points to the dub for this one. Now, to be fair, I did actually have to think about it, because when I ended the episode, I actually thought about it with each thing, each part, and just kind of went over it, I just kind of read over my notes for the sub, and just kind of was like, okay, let's actually look through this and kind of judge where we are, right? Oh, all right. I mean, hell, 2 pages, I know you can barely see it, but 2 pages of notes. These are all of my sub notes, by the way. Hey, both of these pages are exclusively for the sub notes. And then this entire page right here is all the dub notes, with the bottom part from here down on the page being my dub notes for the episode proper, and then of course the rest of the page is for the duel, for the cards that in the duel. Because I do want to talk about the cards, even if I'm not going to give you any visual aids, because most of these are, say it with me now, still anime exclusive. Which is funny because, most people can say that the only decks that most people agree that Valon and Imelda's decks are the 2 decks that you can't actually build in real life because their cards aren't made, which is hilarious. But let's discuss why the dub got the points. Because the dub actually, well, I still don't like what they do with Mai, and I don't. I felt like the dub actually kind of, I didn't feel like it was as gutted. The dub was as gutted. Gutted as much in these 5 episodes as much as, some people claim. Again, watered down, but I also think, and I know, and I know that I'm going to raise some heckles with this, but there's another plot hole that's actually plugged by the censorship of 4Kids. And I mean that sincerely. Well, I suppose I shouldn't say plot hole. It's not really a plot hole plug. It's more of a streamlining the characterization in order to, make it better, right? Now, again, part of the problem here is that I cannot take episodes in a vacuum, especially with anime, right? So, for example, I cannot sit here and just explain to you, and take, the previous episodes of the arc into account. And granted, like I said, even with, even with having now watched the sub, I can honestly tell you, no, this arc sucked in both versions, right? For me, anyway. So, the way I'm going to structure this video is I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about Valon. We're going to talk about Valon first. We'll touch on Valon first. Then we'll go through his duel with Joey, and then we'll talk about why Mai's characterization in this arc blows fucking chunks, because admittedly, you could still salvage Mai's character if they gave a fuck. They didn't give a fuck. Is the TLDR version of this? They didn't give a fuck. Look, they literally did not give a fuck, and that was the problem. So the episode shows up, and Joey starts chasing Valon around. Hound. Jonouchi's like, Jonouchi is upset that he wrecked that hot dog stand, and it's like, but you chose the upper path, on that when you were chasing him, Joey. That's your doing, you know. You know, Honda has to also point out when Joey hops on that motorcycle to go after Valon. It's like, dude, this is obviously a trap. Yeah, what's this? It may be a trap garbage. You know? So the others are basically thinking they need to take the fight to Darts. He's got the right of it. And then Tristan bumps into Mai, who explains that Valon Valon is being chased around by Joey, and Mai gets and both Honda and Tristan both explain in no uncertain terms, this is your fault. This is your fault, Mai. And he's right. Because Mai decided to join an evil cult. And I'm sorry, I get what the point of having Mai join up with Doma was they were trying to do something with her character. The problem is that having Mai join up with Doma just wrecks everything. It completely wrecks everything. But we'll touch on that later because we're supposed to be focusing on Joey and that. But this also leads into the discussion had between Valon and Joey. With Jonouchi, it is effectively the same thing, right? He's basically like, I'm gonna deal with you because defeating you is not gonna fulfill Mai, and she's just gonna be even worse if she defeats you. So I'm gonna get rid of you, and then that problem will be fixed. I would assume that would just mean that she would turn her gaze on you because the writing of this arc is done by people who haven't gotten out of kindergarten yet. I had to put whatever. But yeah, no, I'm with Joey on this one. This is brainwashing and manipulation. Full stop. And considering what we're going to learn about Darts and the fact that Darts is literally, spoilers, behind everything, it ruins the arc completely. When you know where it's going, it completely ruins the arc because then it doesn't become a big philosophical debate. It becomes an evil dictator is trying to burn the world to the ground. Yeah, your philosophical debate is non-existent. I'm sorry. You know. The gang are having to deal with the Orichalco soldiers. Kaiba even points out, it's like, yeah, we kind of can't worry about Joey Wheeler right now. We kind of need to deal with these creeps first. So, yeah. So then we get to Valon's backstory, which is the part I alluded to that kind of makes Valon idiotic. Which is funny because in the abridged version, it's actually better because in the abridged version, Valon's whole big shtick is like Joey points out in the abridged in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, you can't blame the whole world for that church burning down, can you? And Valon in the abridged series is just like, no, I don't. I just fucking hate people, and I'm gonna burn it all to the fucking ground. Which is funny because that's not actually his motivation in either version. I was actually wrong about that. Turns out what his actual motivation is victory at any cost. Beat the shit out of everybody. I'm gonna be the best. I'm the best, and everybody else are all a bunch of fucking chumps. Fighting is all that matters. Wait. Hold on. Pause and rewind a bit here. The entire motivation of one of the three central of antagonists is just that he wants to beat the shit out of people. And that's it. I mean, granted, that's still relatable, but it's like, not even a I fucking hate people. Not even a I hate people, I think people suck. Like, that's why I fight them. No, it's literally just victory is all that matters. So, in other words, an egotistical asshole. Fell. Like, I'm sorry, but the abridged series does better by Valon than the actual show does. How ironic. So Valon crushes the inmates, and I like how the warden is in the dub more. So put your energy into these duel monsters cards instead. After he's sent to the prison for destroying the shit out of those inmates, destroying the shit out of those gang members that were shaking down the church, who Valon thinks burnt down the church. Spoilers, it was Darts that burnt it down. Which is funny because in the dub, they will Darts will literally say, "Yeah, I got him convicted for the crime that sent him to the detention center in the first place." Which is funny because that's actually less bullshit. Yeah. The dub has an explanation that's less bullshit than the sub. Go figure. It's rare, but it happens on occasion. And while I do prefer the backstory in the dub, I will say Jonouchi, in being able to understand Valon just wanting to win at any cost, is actually a nice touch. So, yeah, no. So, yeah. Joey's been through hell before, and this is no exception. They talk more about Mai having joined of her own free will. No, she fucking didn't. I'm sorry, the animation disagrees with Mai having joined up of her own free will. If she had actually joined of her actual free will, then fine. But she was manipulated by a fucking cult leader who dangled a fucking doggy biscuit in front of Mai. I'm not apologizing for that joke. Oh, because that's what this arc has turned her into. Ugh. Then Mai basically talks about how she wants to defeat Jonouchi. All with Valon in the sub even stating, you'll never understand her. To me, Jonouchi not understanding Mai is basically just bullshit that the writers came up with to character assassinate her. And I stand behind that completely. Because again, I don't agree with how with people who say this is doing something with her character. because in order to do something with her character, they didn't see where her character was at the end of Battle City and then proceed from there. They reverted her back to being a selfish bitch that she was at the beginning of season 1. How is that character development? No, seriously, how the fuck is that character development? Why did you take her, growing and and developing? Like, honestly, I almost feel like what should have been the case with this is that Mai should have been former Doma. Like, she was, like, before she went to Duelist Kingdom, she was a member of Doma. But then when she realized that Doma wasn't giving her what she needed, she split. You know? I think that would have worked better. And then it could be the whole thing of the reason Valon's so fucking obsessed with her is because she left him, you know? Yeah, I know that's the lover scorned her fucking backstory thing again, but it's like at least it would be something. No, Valon just wants to stick his penis in Mai because she has a vagina. And I'm not fucking apologizing for saying that. I have been saying that at nauseating length this entire arc. Herc, it should not be a surprise at this point. You should be literally just telling me to shut the fuck up and move on at this point. It shouldn't be a shock. It should be like, meh. True. I prefer Valen's declaration that he's having the time of his life when the duel starts getting down to the wire. Higher, better in the dub. I will admit, because again, he's like, damn, yeah, no, I'm having the fucking time of my life. This is awesome. He says that he's not gonna stop a duel that he's having this much fun with in both versions, but still. Which is apparently what Mai always wanted, according to the sub. Oh, that's what I wanted all along, a heated duel. You wanted power, not a heated duel, bitch. Make up your fucking mind. Yeah, I've lost all respect for Mai because of this arc. If you can't tell. So Joey then respects Valon as a duelist, basically in both versions. I love how Valon declares in the dub that Joey is pushing Valon to his limits. That's cool. Uh, then Mai cries over Valon losing his soul until she suddenly gets reoriented back to bitch by the Orichalcos. I'm sorry, how is this not mind control? Seriously, how does this not mind control when she literally switch flips between, oh no, Valon, this is all my fault, to, okay, and now I'm gonna fucking chop your dick off, Joey. What? It's literally seconds! She go in the sub, it is literally seconds, like, oh no, Valon, I'm sorry. Or E2. And he was a fucking moron. Moving on. What? Do you people want to? Would you people care to have some consistent fucking writing within the same goddamn episode for 5 minutes? Ugh. So then in part 5, then my duels against Joey, who is wiped out, and that leads us into part 5, The soldier, I do like that the Orichalco soldiers flinch in the presence of Blue Eyes. That was kind of cute. I kind of liked that. That was pretty cool. Cool. And then, of course, we get the dub line. If at first you don't succeed, blast them with your blue eyes again! uh... So then Jonouchi has a question for Mai that sums up my issues with her in this entire arc perfectly. Why did you revert? Like, no, seriously, why did you revert? I mentioned this earlier. Why the hell did you revert back to being the bitch you were at the beginning of season 1? You learned valuable lessons. Why are the writers suddenly ignoring that? I still say the intentions are fucking ridiculous. And then Joey basically collapses because 2 back-to-back duels, especially one that was basically a fucking Tokusatsu fight, that might as well have been a freaking Kamen Rider Tokusatsu fight, right? And then facing Mai, yeah, no, Joey runs out of stamina and he basically collapses, which means, yeah, you win, Mai. I can't continue. So Mai finally starts getting it after she starts hesitating. Joey passes out. Mai finally breaks free of the Orichalcos. Because she realized, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be trying to murder the person who cared enough to try and understand my feelings. You know, maybe I should have accepted the friendship instead of being a complete and utter bitch about it. The dub sums it up perfectly, and I wrote down the quote. Forgive me. You offered me friendship, and how did I repay you? By leaving you for a madman who promised me power. What? Also, I guess I didn't actually start talking about the Valon duel. I jumped right into my being irritating. But yeah, no. I prefer how the dub sums all of this up, and then Joey gets his soul sucked because again, he's out of energy. He can't keep going. Hermos or no Hermos, he can't keep going. It was nice to see Red Eye's Black Dragon Sword one last time. That all good was cool. Cool. As was Knight of Dark Dragon. That was pretty cool. Cool. Which is effectively the Paladin of White Dragon, but for Red Eyes. So that was cool. I also like the double arm bind, the Blue Flame Swordsman, double arm bind, and Vow of Tribe in the My Duel because that was pretty cool. But let's actually talk. Speaking of duels, let's actually talk about the one against Valon now. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and talk about this one. I have to admit, I actually kind of really like the armor deck. It's kind of a unique gimmick, right? A very effect heavy like battle oriented style, which I actually kind of like, right? All centered around Psychic Armorhead and its ability to keep coming back again and again and again and again, with armor gravitation and full armor gravitation being pretty particular highlights, with full armor gravitation being broken AF, especially with the Seal of Orichalcos. Good fucking lord. Big Bang Blow, which is the one that destroys monsters and inflicts damage to both players. Active Guard, which protects Valon from damage, which is cool. Burning Knuckle, which decreases monsters, which is actually cool. Jet Gauntlet, I don't remember what that one's supposed to do, admittedly. Admittedly. And I don't feel like looking it up right now because it doesn't really matter. Buster Knuckle, basically the same thing. Advanced Shield, yeah. Buster Pile's pretty cool because that one's another like destroy the monster before damage calculation kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. Cool. I also really like the Black Hole Shield. That one's pretty cool. Blocking attacks in that. Data Brain is very interesting, and it makes a copy of the Rocket Heremos cannon, which I actually applaud Valon because that's a whole lot of use the enemy's strengths against them kind of thing, which is actually really cool. I really like that. And a lot of good animation in this duel. That's another thing that kind of helps elevate this one up for me. But again, the fact that now Mai finally gets it and then goes riding off to go be fridged doesn't help. I also really like Extinction Fist. That was really cool. The explanation for it is better in the dub. I prefer the idea that Lord of the Red kind of splits back into Red Eyes and Aura Armor, as opposed when it's destroyed, as opposed to the explanation in the sub, which is Extinction Fist separates them. The word extinction means to exterminate, to make something go extinct. It's not a fucking time machine. Sorry, that honestly bugged me. And then of course Phoenix Gravitation uh to bring back armors from the graveyard, which makes perfect sense to me. I also really like Rocket Heremos Cannon while we're on the subject. That one was actually pretty cool. It's basically a attack everything one. That was cool. As is Aura Armor. I actually really like Joey's Aura Armor trap card. It was never made into a real thing. The closest we got was actually Crystal Avatar, which is the card that Future Elks will show off. Then one of my favorite broken AF cards in Joey's deck, Roll of Fate. You roll a 6-sided die, you draw that many cards, but you also then send the top cards of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number you rolled after you draw. So, yeah. That I think is actually pretty cool. Certainly better than Pot of Stupidity. The one that banishes 10 cards from the top of your deck face down, and then you draw 2 cards. Yeah, like I like to call it, Pot of Stupidity. Anyways, so then Joey uses Red Eye's Transmigration to turn his armor into Lord of the Red, which is really cool. I really like that one. Then he does the Grave Robber combo to bring Big Bang Blow back from the graveyard, and then take one chance to try and get Hermos out of his graveyard so that he can play it again. Which is funny because that means he literally within 2 duels he literally plays Hermos 3 times. Actually, I think Hermos might actually have the most fusions that actually appeared in the arc now that I'm thinking about it. Because there was Time Magic Hammer, Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, or Big Bang Dragon Blow, which is what this play is bringing out, Rocket Hermos Cannon, and then the next episode will have Goddess Bow for a total of 5. Meanwhile, Critias literally only has Doom Virus Dragon, Tyrant Burst Dragon, again, and Mirror Force Dragon, again, with Timaeus only getting Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, and Amulet Dragon. I still say Amulet Dragon is the worst of the Legendary Dragon fusions, but that's just me. Yes, even worse than Time Magic Hammer. I actually think Time Magic Hammer could be interesting if used properly. So Joey creates Big Bang Dragon Blow. Sacks Red Eyes needs to power it up, which destroys all of Valon's armor cards, which leads to Red Eyes securing Joey's victory. Oh, meanwhile, Kaiba goes off and he buys a car by literally writing a check for $500,000 for $500,000. I love how I love the gag in the dub. There goes my job. Looks at the check. Maybe not. Granted, it looks like he bought a sports car, so I suppose $500K actually is an appropriate amount. Although at this point, would the check bounce? That's a good question. Would the check bounce because of how much his stock would plummet? Then again, I suppose he could still have a bunch of money in reserve because of how fucking redonkulous the amount of money that Gosaburo was throwing at him was. So, and he also would have access to all of Gosaburo's funds too. But yeah, Mai finally snaps out of it. She laments that she left Joey for a madman who promised power, and then that is why she will literally give a card to Valon, which hints at the potential for a future romance between the two, which is fucking stupid. And at the end of this arc, we'll just go off on our own with the KC Grand Prix, pretty much ignoring her entirely, outside of outside of what I like to call the plot hole cameo. Despite all of my antings, and the fact that I've only spent a half an hour on this thing, I admit I think my biggest thing about this is that a lot of the complaints I have about I've already said throughout this entire fucking arc. These episodes just literally reinforce it. She is under brainwashing. She is under mind control. Well, I don't care how you want to fucking spin it. Everything that happens to Mai in these episodes specifically scream that it's mind control and brainwashing. The Orichalcos is basically the fucking devil on her shoulder, steering her in a particular direction. But that is the second. That is the second longest episode of this arc dealt with now, which is hilarious because none of the episodes have actually been as long as this. Believe it or not, this is definitely the longest so far. Not the longest that we have ever had. That distinct, because there's one that ties this, Match of the Millennium, and one that surpasses this, Clash in the Coliseum. So, but we can't deal with darts yet. We have to deal with the buff dude who sucks darts' cock now. Because he decided we needed to throw Mai in the goddamn fridge instead of actually doing something with her character and letting her character arc come to some kind of resolution where Tem and Mai team up to take him down. Maybe even have an acknowledgement that Mai was wrong and she should accept help from the others instead of being a loner dumb cunt, but whatever. I'm not quite done bitching about Mai yet. Admittedly, I'm going to be bringing her up a couple of more times, but otherwise, yeah, this is effectively the end of Mai in the show. Or to be more accurate, this is the end of Mai's relevance in the show. She will become completely fucking irrelevant past this point. I've said it before and I said it again and I'll say it again. what we as fans wanted out of Mai was not for her to join the dark side like a bitch. We wanted her to get better. We wanted her to overcome her PTSD, to be a master of it, and not a slave to it. We didn't need her to go through another situation where a man has to fucking set her straight again. But whatever. I'm done ranting. Ugh. That's fighting for a friend. Next up, we deal with the Guardian deck, because next time we'll be grappling with a Guardian. A Guardian that decides he wants to be an immortal asshole who won't fuck off and die. But we'll talk about that next time. Until then, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walker signing out for the fourth last time of this arc. Have a good one. Duel standby.